Section 1 of the Story of HMS Pinafore. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by NoelBadrian. The Story of HMS Pinafore by W.S. Gilbert. Foreword and Chapter 1. To my young readers, I have been asked to explain to you how it comes to pass that this, the story of a well-known play, is now placed before you in the form of a tale. In the first place, many very young ladies and gentlemen are never taken to the theatre at all. It is supposed by certain careful papas and mammas that very young ladies and gentlemen should go to bed at an early hour, and that it is very bad for them to sit up as late as 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night. Of course, this difficulty could be overcome by taking them to morning performances, which are so called because they invariably take place in the afternoon, but there are drawbacks even to morning performances. Unless you are seated in the front row of the stalls, where the band is sure to be too loud, or in the front row of the dress circle, which is a long way off, the enjoyment of very young ladies and gentlemen is pretty nearly sure to be interfered with by the gigantic cartwheel hats decorated with huge bunches of wobbling feathers that ill-bred and selfish ladies clap upon their heads nowadays whenever they go to a theatre in the daytime. A third reason, and perhaps the best of them all, is that very young ladies and gentlemen find it rather difficult to follow the story of a play, much of which is told in songs set to beautiful music, and all of which is written in language which is better suited to their papas and mammas than to themselves. A fourth reason, but this is not such a good one as the other three, is that the opera upon which this book is founded is, unhappily, not played in every town every night of the year. It should be, of course, but it is not, and it may very well happen that some poor people have to go so long as 2 or 3 years without having any opportunity of improving their minds by seeing it performed. When we get a national theatre, at which all the best plays will be produced at the expense of the public, who will also enjoy the privilege of paying to see the plays, after they have defrayed the cost of producing them, Her Majesty's ship Pinafore will no doubt be played once or twice every fortnight forever. But as some years must elapse before this happy state of things can come to pass, and as those who are very young ladies and gentlemen now may be very middle-aged ladies and gentlemen then, it was thought that it would be a kind and considerate action to supply them at once with a story of the play, so as not to subject them to the tantalizing annoyance of having to wait, possibly, many years before they have an opportunity of learning what it is all about. As I would not for the world deceive my young readers, I think it right to state that this story is entirely imaginary. It might very well have happened, but in point of fact it never did. William S. Gilbert. Chapter 1. Great Britain is, at present, the most powerful maritime country in the world. She possesses a magnificent fleet, superb officers and splendid seamen, and one and all are actuated by an intense desire to maintain their country's reputation in its highest glory. One of the finest and most perfectly manned ships in that magnificent fleet was Her Majesty's ship Pinafore, and I call the ship Her Majesty's because she belonged to good Queen Victoria's time, when men of war were beautiful objects to look at, with tall tapering masts, broad white sails, and gracefully designed hulls, and not huge slate-coloured iron tanks without masts and sails as they are to-day. She was commanded by Captain Corcoran, R.N., a very humane, gallant, and distinguished officer, who did everything in his power to make his crew happy and comfortable. He had a sweet light baritone voice, and an excellent ear for music, of which he was extremely fond, and this led him to sing to his crew pretty
Sample complete. Ready to continue?